since you brought up the six ways, or actually, I think I brought it up, but either way, it became a subject that does bring us to a viewer question asked from a little while ago. John Ceramic on YouTube asked, I'd be interested in his thoughts on how to give new wrestlers time with audiences that lets them grow without boring the audience. I loved how he touched on that by bringing them in with six ways. Basically, last time when we spoke, we talked about how sometimes, throwing new guys in the opening match isn't always fair because, the crowd's always hot for them and, that it's not really them working for it and trying to figure things out. So how do you personally, like if you're running an indie show and you have, let's just say three new guys, how would you ideally throw them in the card? Where would they fit? And what do you think would be best for them, for the show and everything else?
So if I had three new guys, I think what I would try to do is if I had like a six match card, I would put two of them in the same match in a tag team match, and they would each have someone very, very experienced on their side. I'm not sure if it would need to be built with story. It can just be, a match for the sake of a match on a card to introduce guys or get them reestablished. Because what you can do is you can have one new guy, take the heat and learn that portion. And then you can have the other guy learn to take the comeback from the more experienced guy who didn't take the heat. And that's some deep cut, inside baseball terms or whatever. But, that's just really good opportunities because getting beat up and how you react to it and how the crowd reacts to you getting beat up is, the most important part of wrestling, the selling. So a good, isolated chunk of time where the audience is watching you get beat up because you're isolated by the tag team, that's a really good way to learn. And then the other young guy on, say, the heel side, he can be in there in the ring and learn how to be snappy and quick to make that hot baby face look like $1,000,000 because that is just as important. There's nothing that breaks my heart more than a dead hot tag because the heel isn't there for the baby face. You can go back and watch a lot of the Rhodes versus Shield stuff. There'd be times where Goldust would be moving 1,000 miles per hour in a good controlled way, like just absolute pro, like just on his game. He looked literally on fire. And sometimes at the time, Roman Reigns, I remember just specifically because I could hear him yell at him, "Get up, like get up," and like it hurts that moment. So that's something that's really important to learn. You need to learn how to just be there to get up, get down, get up, get down, get up, get down, a mile a minute, so that baby face, looks great and looks like they're on fire. I mean, so that's two birds with one stone right there. You got them each in a different spot in a tag match where they're learning two very different things. And then the other guy I would try to throw in some kind of, more exciting match, or because I think they do work, especially if you got a guy who's willing to maybe work twice, a squash match.
Yes,
You
please.
know, maybe on the second match of the card, you know, Mr. Big Shit comes out, runs his mouth, it's some new guy comes out, does his best, gets a little flurry in with something that looks A plus, something they hit 100% of the time at practice. Let them get that in, shut them down. They take a big move, they sell big. That's important lessons right there. Trying to garner a reaction out of nowhere, you're going to have to do that so many times in your career, as well as when it's your chance to shine, making the most of it. If it's a big drop kick, whatever it may be, I always tell people that when it is your turn, you better take it. You better take your turn and make the most of it, because the other guy is giving it to you, literally, because it's not a real fight. They're giving you that opportunity and their body to look awesome. So you better take it. So in that moment, whatever, maybe have them try to get a little in on that guy. They shut him down, they get beat, boom, they're done, and then have that guy wrestle again later. So you didn't waste him on the card. So I mean, that's probably what I would do, because I like sometimes when a match early on affects a match later, even on an indie show. There's nothing wrong with telling a story throughout the
Yeah.
evening. I think it's important. So yeah, that's probably how I would do, three newer guys on a show that I put together. And if not that, depending on how they all work, maybe one of them would be better off in like a hot six man because maybe they're good at, you know, some of that stuff, but not the rest. And then that's why on the next show you'd be like, okay, you did your stuff you're good at, you got an opportunity to, hit them off the tee. But now we're going to come over here where we're going to be throwing the pitches, and you got to work a little harder and now learn how to sell, learn how to work on your in between your cool stuff you did. You know what I mean? You got to test. You have to learn how to do it all. You have to be able to do your cool shit. You have to be able to make it matter. You have to make other people's cool shit look good, and you have to make that matter. You know,
And
it's just there's so much to learn and do all across your job as an in-ring performer.
And the thing is, wrestling, it's so complicated. The fact that you're able to come up with an answer on the spot, because I've sent you a bunch of questions. That wasn't one that I had on the list, so you just came up with that instantly. But what makes me think is like the thing about wrestling is there's so much more that goes into it than just that, right? Like you gave that example, but maybe that last guy, maybe people have high hopes. Maybe like for that person, they're like, okay, we want to test him and put him in the ring with these guys who are experienced and see how he does too. So there's so many like the booking philosophy, everything. We dove a lot into the booking philosophy the last time we talked, and I thought it was very insightful. And it's just there's so much that goes into why somebody's in the position they're in, and I love picking your brain because you always give really good insight. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very, lucky to run festival shows, fair shows, regular independent shows, TV shows, events that are incorporated with like a holiday, like that Walk of Fame show book. It's just like I've done every kind of weird type of show you can do, food truck festival in the street. So, and each one of those had a different need, If it's the grand opening of a 7-Eleven, that doesn't need a story throughout the day. It just needs things that are eye-catching. If it's, regular indie show with, a month plus of hype and posters and matches, that needs to tell a story, not only throughout the evening, but through each match as well.